Hi, Health Science 480 International Health class. My name is Donny. We got Kalei also on here. We got two more members of our group that are, one has experienced a family emergency, so our prayers are with him. It's Jay. He's in Washington. And then we got our other friend Taiwo, who's in South Africa, experiencing some really bad uh, internet and weather issues. And so their recordings are going to be separate from this recording here, but they were able to get their work into us, and we're going to put it all together in one video for you. So we did our project on the Ebola virus, the epidemic in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's been going on for about the last year. We have what the four main aspects of our report or our project is going to be talking about the employment and logistics of setting up an Ebola clinic and setting up a whole intervention class into that area. And then we're going to talk about marketing and the implementation plan. We'll talk about how we researched and developed that plan, and then the finance and how we're going to enable or enhance self-reliance in the area and in the region to help with dealing with the problem after we fix it. So we're going to be starting off with Kalei. He's going to be talking about the employment and logistics personnel.
Thank you, Donnie. So this has been a great project. A lot of bumps in the road, but we're glad to get this project on its way, and we pray for the best. So my part of the project, as Donnie said, talked about the employment aspect and logistics of personnel. So with our company that we designed, for starters, we need to be well organized as possible. There's so much different assets, so much different moving parts going on. So we have to be as organized as possible. So this company, we feel, will follow a similar chain of command that most successful companies use and implement. Our company is no different. We would have like a CEO, someone in charge to overlook and lead that company. He or she will also be the face of the organization and will be in charge of all day-to-day activities. Our company will also need vice presidents for the various departments, like sales, marketing, and the other departments that my classmates will cover as well. Let me see. Each department will vary in size depending on the growth of our company and the amount of work that is available. Sub-departments under sales, production, and what have you will also vary depending on our company size and the demand of the services that's needed. There will be a need for obviously a training department where employees will learn how to educate the public on all issues relating to the Ebola virus. The department is critical for our company success because these employees will be the ones with their boots to the ground. They're the ones that are going to go out to the public and to the rural areas. They will be the face that the public sees, the one that everyone's going to know that's out there doing the job. These educators are essential in spreading the knowledge to whoever is in need of help. In some special cases, there will be several several educators with multiple skill sets. With their priorities set on education, they could also be trained to provide medical assistance if needed. No sense sending someone out there that can only educate, but they can't do anything medically, just in case an emergency comes about. Once again, this all depends on the success of our company and the demand of our services. There will be several job opportunities available for the natives of the land. Who better to get involved with the cause and the people who know the land the best? We will try to employ as many locals as we possibly can. The reason being, there is going to be a need for workers to be in all corners of Africa. Depending on where the Ebola situation is, we will need substation in those locations. It may be a permanent or temporary station. No matter what the station is, there will be a need for bodies to occupy those stations. a successful company may want to expand and branch out. I found inspiration in watching a video this semester where rural villages were given motorcycle ambulances. These motorcycles could get to villages where jeeps, trucks could not. Our company will have a division inspired by this video. We will have teachers that are able to ride motorcycles, and they will be able to educate the locals in the villages that were inaccessible in the past. What better way to spread the word and educate others? We literally could reach all the remote areas of Africa if the need arises. More job opportunities for the locals could be available in the near future, depending on the company's growth. We can see a need for maintenance crew. We will need mechanics, electricians, and other labor departments. Things break down from normal wear and tear, and we need a crew that can fix things on the fly. With different departments set up around Africa in all remote locations, this crew may need to pack up their things and fly across the continent to make those necessary repairs. Finally, I definitely feel that the future of our company is bright. We will be doing our Heavenly Father's work as we take care of our brothers and sisters in Africa, educating them on all things pertaining to the Ebola virus, and saving lives is our ultimate goal. We truly feel that everyone is a child of God and that they are special. They are definitely worth fighting for, and our company will not stop till we save every single precious soul. We are dedicated to the Lord's work, and we will not sleep until the Ebola virus is eliminated from the face of the earth. And that's my section.
Thanks, Kalei. We talked. Kalei just talked a lot about the people that will be working for our company. So the next portion of it is going to be focusing on marketing and implementation. So after we've developed our plan for interventions, which is done through our research and development, we have to market our plan, and our goals in the community are going to be focused on education, assessment, and treatment. So our first is going to be we're going to be focused on youth education. We found that in the area and all throughout Africa, Western medicine is not very well accepted. Especially with the older generation, because there's a lot of traditions that hold them back because they feel like we're coming into their country and trying to change the way that they've done things in the past. The youth are a lot more accepting of that, and they're able to bring information home to their families. So we've developed a new curriculum called Elementary Health Against Ebola, and we're going to be sending out those youth educators, which are going to be our health educators that have education background, to visit the youth and begin teaching them about the hazards of Ebola, how it's transmitted, and how it can be treated, and how it can be avoided. We understand that the population is still pretty skeptical, but we feel like the youth are going to be able to bring information home to their families and be able to have a more positive outlook on how these interventions are going to be going into this community. Our next focus is going to be on clinic seminars. So, like Kalei said, we're going to have clinics specifically placed in areas where Ebola virus is going to be more prevalent, and we're going to be offering free seminars and also free health checkups. Each week in rotating clinics throughout the region, we'll hold these seminars that will outline the curriculum that are taught in schools. So what can happen is we'll go teach the children in their school. They'll bring home handouts, and they'll bring home resources for families to begin learning in their homes. And then hopefully the information that gets taught in school can be reaffirmed in these seminars that are going to be scheduled, that's going to be passed out to the kids and to the families. So as a family, you can come to these seminars and you can learn as a family about how to prevent Ebola in your home specifically, and then also throughout the rest of the community as well. Our nurse educators will be able to show families the best way to treat water, food, cleaning, and hygiene to give everyone the best chance to avoid Ebola. And then, as I mentioned just a second ago, we're going to have free health checkups and education at all these local clinics. So we're going to be open during normal business hours, say 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And anyone who wants to come in and be checked and to be checked out, whether you have any symptoms at all, you can come into these clinics and we'll do a free health checkup. The goal is that these clinics is to provide education, assessment, testing, diagnostics, and treatment. So we're trying to encompass everything that we're that our whole project, our whole company is about, is encompassing the entire process of receiving education, getting assessed, and then being treated for whatever symptoms each person may have. It's not This disease has not only wreaked havoc on the people physically, but mentally and socially as well. And we hope to be able to repair what this illness has done and provide a community that supports each other and gives them a group to crutch on while going through this terrible epidemic. You can see from our plan that we focused on, one, a population that we feel has the most potential of influence. Two, we've focused on medium-sized groups like families who are seeking help and education. And then three, we've also focused on the individual. We've focused on the individual and we have tailored plans for each person that comes into our clinics. So this marketing plan has been developed to eradicate and create self-reliance to the people in the DRC in the future. So the next two people that you're going to hear on these videos is going to be Jay Johnson and then Taiwo, who's in South Africa. So stand by; those videos we're going to mesh all these videos together, and you're going to get the finished product right now. So thank you.
Hi guys, this is Jay Johnson, and I am reporting on the research that was involved in our group project for the class. And I wanted to explain a little bit on how the research took place and where we got the research from. So what we did is we took a look at the 1976 Ebola outbreak in Africa. And we took a look at all of the conditions that were involved in that. The hygiene conditions, the way that people lived, the sanitary conditions. And we looked at the ability that people had to go to the doctor and to have proper health care. We looked at studies on medication that was available, vaccinations that were available. And we looked at all these things and started to gather information on what happened and why it took such an epic event for things to start happening as far as vaccinations and things that can help avoid another pandemic from Ebola. So we took a look, like I said, at the living conditions. We looked at how they lived in the communities. So people back in those particular parts back in 1976, they lived a very simple life. A lot of them were in poverty. They didn't have a whole lot. And because of that, modern soaps and disinfectants and stuff that you and I would use in our own lives and in our own homes was not available to them. So these people lived very simple in their own way, but they didn't have these things available to clean their houses to make sure that the germs were killed and gotten rid of. They didn't have any wipes or any Lysol spray or anything of that notion at the time. They did bathe themselves, but when the Ebola virus took place, one thing that was noticed in the studies was that people there were not very good in practicing sanitization as far as getting rid of germs in their own homes, in the workplaces. A lot of people worked out in the fields herding goats, on the farms growing stuff, and so they didn't have the ability to sanitize everywhere they were at. So that was one thing. The other thing was conditions on how they stored food. You and I, in today's world, we have rules and regulations. Most parts of the country do anyway, on how to store food. Back then, they didn't have most places didn't have refrigerators. They didn't have the ability to store food and to, keep viruses such as E. coli and Giardia and stuff like that out of people's water and out of people's food. And so that stuff takes place in how effective diseases like this are in spreading. We also took a look at how much or how many people had access to health care. We looked at studies that had to deal with do I have the option of going to the doctor? If I do have the option of going to the doctor, how do I pay for it? And then it comes to does the doctor or the clinic have the right stuff in order to protect myself from such diseases? These people, they really didn't have access to a whole lot of clinics. There were doctors, but a lot of these doctors and facilities were behind on technology and were not up in the fast-growing field of healthcare. They didn't have the access to the fancy machines and stuff that we have nowadays. And so when people became sick, when people came down with the Ebola virus, a lot of them didn't have anywhere to go. Some of them knew a person that practiced natural health care as far as plants and different remedies as far as mixing plants together and stuff like that have been practiced for years. But other than that, a lot of these people didn't have anywhere to go. So the other thing that we looked at as far as research to come up with this project is what was the conditions of the place at the time? How was the economy? How was the government? And what we had found out in our research was that there was a lot of civil disturbance, civil war going on. A lot of people trying to take control and power of that part of the world. And the problem was is you would take person A that wanted to take power, they would take power of all the medicine. And so people that weren't in the circle of person A, so to speak, didn't have access to those medicines. It wasn't like in today's world when I can just go down to the clinic and say I'm sick and the doctor writes his prescription and bada bing, bada boom, we're good to go, right? So a lot of violence took place. A lot of people had to hide. They couldn't live normal lives in the areas that they were living back in Africa. So we wanted to take a look at all this research, all of these studies that happened during this time so that we can understand how to effectively make this visual aid to present to the public so that we can teach them in a simplified manner on how to protect themselves from the Ebola virus and things that they can do in their own homes and in their own lives to become better at being clean and better hygiene. And we wanted them to be more aware of what kind of health care is available in clinics.
Hello guys, I'm here to present the finance option for our research, development and interventions as the plans of helping people in DRC Congo who are being affected with Ebola to become self-reliant. After much of research to see which organization that could be of help to these people that is being affected with this deadly virus. So I've been able to research about few group of agencies that I feel that could be of help to these people. Some of them are American Care Ebola, Catholic Relief Services, LDS Church, as well to be of help develop Africa, go global, and international rescue also to be of help. And most importantly, I've able to come across some government organization which also will be of great help to these people. Some of these world organizations are World Bank's International Development Association, the UNICEF, World Health Organization, and at the same time USAID will also be of help to these people. And as well, the CDC will also be of help as part of the government organization to help the people of DRC Congo with this Ebola virus they find themselves. And after these people have come to help, so the best way these people will be able to assist the people of DRC Congo is that they'll be able to strengthen the resilience of these affected areas of this Ebola, and at the same time, will also help to contain the spread of these deadly viruses. And after this has been done, the question that needs to be asked is that what happens next? How can these people be of self-reliance after all what they have gone through because of this deadly virus? So some of the things that I'm able to come up is to also be able to train these people as well, and also after the training must have been done in order to be able to help themselves. So the training would probably focus on how to help, like having a good hygiene, and at the same time the way it will limit the spread of bodily fluid and also the bad food. And at the same time, we also thought that we need a skill that will help them to become self-reliant, because I strongly believe that it's not every time the government will come to their aid. So this will be an ongoing thing. And before we could think of a skill, we also have to look at do a little bit of research of what skill that could be of help to them, and at the same time how they could be able to get that on their way. So with all this has been said, we strongly believe that this research that has been done will be of help and will be able to assist them in any way they can to get back to their normal life. Thank you.